Well, hello. It's Dan Stein coming to you from the Federation for American Immigration Reform. I'm the president, and I've been here for a few hundred years, so you probably know my face by now. I'm joined by Preston Huennekens, who's government relations associate here with FAIR, does a fine job on Capitol Hill for us. And we're going to talk today about what's happening on Capitol Hill, about a bill you should be aware of. It's an important bill for a couple of reasons. The biggest one is it gives us a window and an opportunity to understand how those of us who seek strong borders and interior immigration enforcement have had to contend with big agriculture in trying to get our borders secured. Big agriculture, for those of you who don't know, has been the raspberry seed in our wisdom teeth for decades. Every single time we're able to get strong border legislation introduced in Congress, anytime we make any really strong effort to prevent illegal aliens from coming into the U.S. to work, who's standing in our way? No, it's not left-wing radicals funded by George Soros. No, it's not hotel restaurant, although sometimes those businesses are tough. No, it's not Jeremy Diamond over at Goldman Sachs. No, it's big agriculture. It's the Western growers. It's the growers who, going all the way back to the 1950s, actually going back to the 1940s when they got the Bracero program, and then they put in the Texas Proviso back in 1952. The Texas Proviso was an exemption from felony smuggling that said employment per se is not felony smuggling, harboring. The Texas Proviso was a massive gaping loophole in U.S. immigration law enforcement. When the Bracero program was ended in 1964, and the Western Hemispheric quotas were put in place in 1968, illegal immigration from Mexico and other countries became a major issue. And all the way through this process, agriculture has said they want to maintain access to a labor market model that relies on illegal immigration. And so every single time Americans try to get Congress to pass legislation that stops illegal immigration cold, builds a wall, interior enforcement, employer sanctions, detention, apprehension, investigations, whatever you have it, who's standing in the way? Who still will not use the E-Verify program? Big agriculture. The last three major immigration bills, 07, 013, 16, why it was we didn't get a bill through in Trump's first 2 years as president. What was the holdup for the so-called Goodlatte bill in the House? You guessed it, big agriculture and its insatiable demands to try to create under color of law the same kind of access to labor that they believe they get through illegal immigration. They constantly complain that the current program whereby they can petition for temporary workers, the H-2A program, is too complicated. Even when they push for numerical increases, it's never enough. And so now they finally came to the table. FAIR, to our credit, Preston, put a lot of pressure on the Western growers and said, you need to support E-Verify. Some of the grower groups got together and they say, fine, if you want to know what it takes to get E-Verify, this is our bargaining chip. This is what we need to get E-Verify. And the answer is the Farm Workforce Modernization Act, now pending in the House. And this is the bill that Preston's going to tell us about. And you need to know this because this is an important and powerful lobby trying to blast a massive loophole in America's immigration enforcement structure with a program that brings back what we thought we got rid of in the Civil War, indentured servitude. Preston, tell us about the bill.
So there are a number of issues with H.R. 5038. First, there's a 1.5 million person amnesty, and that's on the low end. It could be as high as 2.3 million.
So the purpose of this is to get cheap labor to pick the crops.
Exactly.
So we need a 1.5 million person amnesty.
Exactly. And that's
just to pick strawberries.
And that's their idea of modernization. Nothing in this bill encourages farmers to adopt labor-saving technology that most Western countries have adopted now that allows you to move from having to import all of these cheap illegal foreign workers. So the bill
So would it be better for them to mechanize?
Exactly, and that's, they claim again that this is a modernization bill. There's nothing modern about this. It's just
They've had
a naked
50 years,
amnesty.
50 years to mechanize or find an American workforce, a free American workforce to get these things picked, right? Right?
Exactly,
And so we got a big fat amnesty.
And part of that amnesty, they're essentially tied to the farms. So if you have lived in, there's no way to prove this, of course, so there's going to be a ton of fraud. If you can prove that you've worked in the United States for more than 10 years in agriculture, you're allowed to work for 4 additional years under the Certified Agricultural Worker status, which would be a new program, of course, because they love those. If you worked for less than 10 years, you have to work for an additional 8 years. So you have people who are going to be working for 10 plus years on
10
the farm.
years to work in the fields to get a green card.
And
how do you spell exploitable?
Exactly. They have
Is
no
that the American
rights.
way? Is that the American way? I thought we were a country of free labor.
And so this is a backward system that really reminds a lot of people, not only on our side, but also from the labor perspective of indentured servitude. And it's essentially what it is.
Doesn't this confirm agriculture's long-term reliance on cheap, exploitable foreign labor?
It does. And they already have a program that you mentioned before, the H-2A program. It's uncapped. There's no reform to make that easier for big agriculture to use, but it's been there for them for decades, and they still refuse to use it.
And what would a program like this do to wages? What would happen to wages in the agricultural sector? Do they really, I heard that they were capped.
It almost certainly will lower wages across the board. It prevents any chance of an American who wants to work in agriculture from being able to do that, as long as you have this.
So no American can work in agriculture.
Yeah.
And what about the farm worker union? Do they support it?
It's, they've been in a tough spot. They want more people on the union rolls. So this is a great opportunity for them to get potentially 1.5 million.
So they're bought off with the amnesty. They think they're all going to get union cards when they get green cards.
Exactly.
Oh, I see. So I heard that, so this went through markup at the full Judiciary Committee yesterday, right?
Yes.
Presided by Gerald Nadler?
Yes.
So they couldn't be bothered with impeachment because they had to pass a mass amnesty.
Well, they did cut it off at 3 p.m.
Hard to argue
and then
which would have
came
been a
back.
better use of their time. What's that?
I said they did cut it off at 3 p.m. so that they could go to the impeachment inquiry hearings. But don't worry, they came back and made sure to pass the amnesty.
So I heard that they added some amendments. Now, temporary protected status, there's an amendment in there to give them all asylum or green cards?
Yes, and this is it's a similar situation that they used in the American Dream and Promise Act. It's, for some reason they've whipped themselves up into this frenzy of having to protect TPS designees.
Temporary protected status, people brought in these were temporary relief provisions for people who were here as a result of unforeseen emergent circumstances for a brief period of time. They've now been here for years, and of course they all want to stay.
Exactly.
And Sheila Jackson Lee has come to the rescue, answering the call to drop in an amendment to this farm bill, right, to let hundreds of thousands of people from Salvador, Central American countries, Haiti, and others stay, right?
And so this was one of the only amendments that passed during the markup. Other amendments that would have almost certainly strengthened the program would have, allowed for, measures to come in that would reduce fraud. All of those were rejected by the Democrats.
I thought Democrats cared about American labor or the condition of labor in this country.
And that's what they keep telling us, but they keep supporting and passing bills like this that are a slap in the face to low-skilled Americans who would really benefit from these jobs.
So what happens to the bill now, and can you help us stop it?
So right now the bill will be going to the floor for a full vote of the House of Representatives. We think that it'll pass with on largely party line vote. And after that, it'll go to the Senate, and we need you to pressure your senators and your representatives that you do not want this amnesty. This bill does not modernize anything about the agricultural workforce, and we have to stop it.
So you want to tell your senator and representative, hire American workers, tell them to mechanize, get the job done, because Americans can do the work. Tell them to oppose the Farm Worker Modernization Act. Modern-day indentured servitude is a form of slavery. It's wrong, it's unethical, it's gross, it's immoral, and the bill number in the House is H.R. 5
038.
5038. That's 5038. It doesn't have a bill number in the Senate because it hasn't gotten to the floor. And you can just imagine what's going to happen to this bill, this amnesty bill, when it gets to the House floor. So instead of doing President Trump's work to build a wall or helping him achieve his immigration control objectives, what do they want to do? Pass a big mass amnesty bill, a sop to big agriculture, because they believe that if they can buy off agriculture, then they can add another mass amnesty on top of it and more as it goes through the legislative process. We need to pay attention to this. Can't be flagging on it. You get the information on our website at fairus.org. Anything else to add?
No.
All right. Look it up. Take action. No time to lose. I'm Dan Stein, Preston Huennekens. Thank you very much.